Okay, now you should be able to hear me. Apologies. Trying out a new layout of sorts, so the audio is all a bit iffy at the moment. I'm working on it. Give me a second. That should hopefully fix it, so it's not so egregiously loud. But hello, welcome. Today's gonna be an interesting one because I'm very late to the event and I'm not sure exactly what to expect. Time's gonna tell on that one. We'll see. But that aside, apologies this stream is so late. This was supposed to go way earlier, but technical difficulties decided to crop up at the last second. It is what it is. So with that in mind, we can finally get started at the very least. So hello everyone! Glad to see you all here. It's nice. Let me get you some nice background audio so we're not just here in the silence. Okay, now you should all have sound. You know, the good old game music. And let me limit that volume so it's not quite so loud. Like if it ever got louder, I think it would cause problems. I think for now it's at a decent enough volume. I could probably go... probably there. Even like that. And then I need to lower the volume of it itself, otherwise we lose quality. Low, actually. But okay, that should work. Or at least it seems to be working. Can I do that with a filter? Because currently I can barely hear the game and that's not ideal. I believe I can do that though. Just put these in the correct order. -10. And then I should be able to turn it back up. I can hear it. Okay, there we go. Everything should be set up now. Everything should work. Oh, the amount of setup that all took. Alright. Do I have Twitch so you could watch me there? Sadly, no, I'm not on Twitch. I've considered it at times, but the problem is when I was younger, made accounts on Twitch. And then I proceeded to forget the passwords to said accounts. So any form of like Deadly Emerald that makes sense. I don't have access anymore. It sucks, but it's true. That aside, I think we should get into the video game because y'all have been patient. Why should I keep you waiting? So, welcome. Limbus Company. Been a while. Should be a fine enough stream. I'm not anticipating too many issues. We shall see. Also, I've seen Kiwi in chat. You shouldn't be here. I want you to play Limbus yourself. How are you gonna avoid spoilers if you're watching a stream that is inevitably going to contain story? I don't know how much it'll be connected to the main plot, but I feel like stuff will come up. It's complicated. So, with that all said, and Kiwi, go away. Goodness. I am stressed enough, honestly. Alright, see you around. With that in mind, I just need to close a couple things so we don't encounter any lag, because that would suck. I don't think any of us are looking for a laggy stream, that's for sure. Just gotta close it all. And then I should be able to just do that. Perfect! The stream looks pretty good, I'd say. I might zoom out the camera a little, but otherwise, it already looks pretty good. I'm not too worried. So with that in mind, let's get started, shall we? A while since I played Limbus, so I don't really know what I'm expecting per se. But I think the event should be fun at the very least. You know, that would be the least of my hopes. And here we are. So, I have plenty of energy down here, so we can play the event itself. But, as always, we gotta have a gotcha. So, this one is all featuring various egos. So, one of the ways to have better odds of getting ego is to have ego itself. So the more I don't have as far as ego is concerned, the less likely we're going to be to get what I want. So, actually I need to check something real quick. I think I just need to raise myself a little. That's fine. I can do that. Should be able to. Where's that switch? Joys of figuring stuff out on the go. There we go. Raise my chair a little bit. Now I can be comfortable without being awkwardly off camera. So anyway, my trick to this is basically just going to come down to buying ego and spending my stuff. So before we get into the gambling side of things, it's a good thing I have plenty of these, because this is all I basically have to get egos. And the more egos I buy, the more likely I am for this gambling to be worthwhile. So, we're just kind of gonna go one by one from the top, I'm thinking, because more recent stuff tends to be more useful. So we'll start with standard fare and we'll look at those egos. Radion, Don Quixote, and Honglu. How many do I have of each? Radion might be a good one to start with. I'm like 100 short. So let's get started with that. You get to see my method to the madness. So this should be worth about that many, and this will be that 95. Technically a little less than I wanted, but nonetheless. I want to be careful because if I spend too many, it just becomes not worth it. Exactly 6, perfect. So now we can afford this. And yeah, the more ego I buy from this shop, the better the odds. So that's the logic. We're gonna do that for a bit. You understand nothing right now, but you still like it? Fair enough. And to be fair, I'm not gonna complain about getting ego I didn't have previously. That's the other thing. I don't know how useful some of these are. I'm kind of just guesstimating because I don't feel like checking. Dawn would also be pretty good since I already have half the cost. Honglu would kind of suck, so I think we're going to buy other stuff first. So let's do Dawn's, and that's going to be about, let's go 95. Just in case we get lucky. But yeah, I'm going to be hurting for crates after this. But it's limited time ego, so it feels worthwhile to increase my odds. So I need Don Quixote shards. I got 184. Very much biased downward. That's not helping. Let's go like that. 11. How many do we need left? I got it done too, but it's fine. I don't want to overspend. See, that was perfect. Now we can buy this one. But yeah, I can only do this so many times. So there we go. That's the extent of egos I need to buy from here. I don't think there's much here. There's this, but again, it's expensive. I can't get anything from Oblivion because it's the most recent season, aside from, you know, season 6. But that's fine. That one might be good. It's a Ryoshu. What else do we have here? Gregor, I believe. Anything else? There's a lot here, admittedly, that I don't have. Again, any characters I just did in it. Oh, that one's just free. I have the resources already. Okay. My dad always said a gambling man is a lucky and smart man till they lose everything and become homeless. No, that makes sense. That's why I'm trying to increase my odds. Because then I don't want to get unlucky. That's the hope. 150, 0. Makes sense. Okay, so that's all I can do from here. So I think our next best was 174. That was... Okay, Gregor looks like our next best. Unfortunately, Gregor's going to want like 100, and that's a lot. Oh, because this is why we don't gamble. True, true. That is the advantage of the system they have here. 200 exactly. All right, so I need another 15-ish. That was terrible. I put in 5, I got 6 back. Wow. 3. As I get closer, I want to slow down because too many and I'm wasting. Okay, there we go. There's another one. And I think our next best is going to be... Yeah, this Ryoshu ego. Unfortunately, I don't know if I have enough crates. Let me check. I don't have a lot of faith, honestly. Yeah, 85 is... I would have to get really, really lucky, and chances are I'm not going to. I don't think I have anything else here that would do anything for it. Alright, I think that's as much as I can influence the odds. Unless I have anything to like click. I could do my dailies. I haven't done my dailies yet, but they'll only give me a couple more. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. You know what? We're going to gamble. 85, all to Ryoshu. Either it works or it doesn't. And then if we're close, then we'll have a look at that possibility. Because I could go and do my dailies. Ooh, 171. So we're a lot short, actually. That's... I don't think it's happening. I'll be frank. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I don't... Even if I did my dailies, that's not enough. I think I could earn like 3 from this. And I have to pass missions. So I guess I could do the Luxcavations a few times, but even then, it's like... I don't think I could do enough to get enough crates that's worth it. That is sad. Okay. Well, we've inflated our odds about as well as I can. So! Gambling, anyone? Don't gamble, kids. Don't gamble. Let's see where we go. What do we get? First pull is not great. Which is not a good sign. Not at all. Oh. Confidence is waning. Oh my goodness. That's like the bare minimum. I got the 1-2 star that's guaranteed from doing a 10 pull. Are you kidding me? Oh. I mean, we just gotta keep going. This is the only way to get them. Give me something! Bro, I've gotten like nothing. I don't think we're looking for gold this time. I think the color is blue. And there's no blue. So, not good. Well, that's the end of the tickets. Or, well, that form of ticket. I still have 10 pulls 2 more times. And then we start dipping into my actual resources. Not to say these aren't resources, but, you know, my lunacy. Why does the RNG hate me? I've got to nothing. To my shock. A shock and awe. I can only pull 1 at a time with these. I might as well. It's gonna be a lot slower, but I can't spend these 10 at a time if I don't have 10. And clearly the odds aren't great doing it this way, as we can see. It's like, I can hope, but... I did notice we got a few resources from this, so maybe that's made a difference. That's possible. I have my doubts. I'm gonna go through these and we're gonna see if it made a difference before I keep going, because once I start to begin to lunacy, that's... I don't like doing it. But if I'm going to, I would like to increase my odds more. But I haven't gotten ego. That's the other thing. I've gotten no ego. It's a little sad. Let me see. Surprisingly, yes, I made enough of a difference to get another one. Is there any others I can afford? I don't think they'd be up here, but I can check. It's like 37, so not by any means. 77. They're all Kathy. 9 is a joke. And then there's some here, but have my doubts that I can afford anything else, because nothing else was that close. Yeah, okay. With that in mind, we're going back to gambling, I guess. What else am I gonna do? This is the true limited time. Let's find out. I'd normally be happy to see gold, but it's not the color I'm looking for. I need blue. Also, it was a duplicate. Dipping into the lunacy. Oh, that feels bad. I mean, it's an ego. At the very least, it'll make odds better, but I think it has to be blue. Good thing about ego is you can't get duplicates. So once you get an ego, at least that helps your odds. But even then, it's not what we're looking for. We've spent so much. RNG just isn't there. Okay, how many am I at currently? 97. You can at least get one of them, but the odds are not in my favor at all. Look at this. Obviously they're not. The gamble is not paying off. Nothing. I want this middle bit to turn blue. And even then, like, even when you're on this screen, there's still a chance, because when I click on it again, sometimes one of them will change color. It's rare, but sometimes. So up to this point, there's still a chance, but... Oh. Okay, that's something. Ego. Okay. Interesting. It's not even an ego, I'm stupid, it's an ID. It just looked more orange because I was hovering over it. I don't even know what ID this is. I don't know what I just got. Can I make chat go by faster so I can see messages? That's actually just the stream delay. That's kind of just how it is. Stream delay is a fact of life. I can't really change it. I mean, we got an ego again. Nothing else that'll help our odds, but it's not what we want. Oh, it's this one. I guess that's fine. I don't particularly need it, but again, odds increase. I'm going to run out of lunacy. Bro. RNG hates me. That or my luck is just that poor. I don't know. We're at 157 pulls to nothing. Gotten ego. Not ego for the event. Gold one. Not that it matters. I have Enclair. It's not... gonna run out. I'll be able to pay for like 1 with the pity system, but I've got nothing. I thought at least RNG would give me something here, man. 2 golds, both are duplicates. So it's not even cool. What are we even at this point? 197. So the next one, I'm going to go back to the pity system. Because at that point, at least we get something. And I know which one I'm going to grab. I'm biased by color. But okay. Apparently, I need pity because I can't draw. I swear to goodness. I thought I had any odds. So needless to say, we're not spending it on an announcer. That would be dumb. No, we got these 3. These are what I've been looking for. And I got none of them so far. 200 draws later and nothing. Shocked, to be honest. But, I mean, I knew the odds would be worse because they're ego. And ego inherently has lower odds. Like, I'll show you. We're going to get this Faust one just because I happen to like the color green. That's my only logic. So at least we have this. It's something. RNG was not on my side. So we got a Faust ego. Huzzah. Something, at the very least. I don't know what this is. Starlight of Immortality. Oh. Interesting. We're going to gamble the rest of it because, again, this is true limited time. Once it's gone, it is gone. Most of this stuff you could just dispense later and it's fine. Even Walpurgis. Once another Walpurgis starts, I can buy it from here. But this, the actual extraction here, this is limited. Once it's gone, it is gone. Let's see what we can get out of here before we're all out. I mean, I can pray for a Hail Mary here, but odds aren't looking good. I'm gonna be flat broke after this. I mean, I'll get some stuff back from playing the event, but I'm gonna need to... Oh, I got something. I actually got something. Hey! That's actually cool. I got something. I'm not a failure. All right then, that's nice. We got one. Will we get one more with this last 10 pull? I mean, we'll see. I don't. That would be crazy if we did, but again, it's RNG. We don't know. Yep, there we go. That is all, folks. I don't have enough to spend on another 10 pull. At most, I could do a 1 pull, and I think the odds are worse when you start getting to... Like, if we look at the probabilities, the odds that we get ego are 1.3%. Individual rate, we get the one we want. It's not even 0.5%. It's like half, like 0.1. It's the odds we get what we want are pretty slim. 3 stars, a little better, but again, that's not what the event is, so it doesn't matter. Now, if we add on a 10 pull to the mix, that does change the odds slightly. Only slightly. So the odds they become better somewhat, but not a lot. Like you can see, the odds are still pretty bad. So all in all, it's just not great. You can kind of see the rarities here. They go up as you scroll down, I believe. But at no point are you going to end up getting... Like, these are your most common things. They are all 6% and they're the... Just give you thread, basically. Or not thread, I forget what it's exactly called, but they're shards and you can use them for stuff, but... Ego's by far the hardest thing to get, and that is reflected. So ironically, the one we didn't get, if I go to here to show you all, we don't have the Gregor one, which is by far the best of the set. Ironically, but I really wanted the Faust one, and our gotcha pool decided, let's do this one. So with that all said and done, we're done gambling. That is the end of the gambling section, at least for now. We might come back at like the end of stream because there is the opportunity then, because we have reward exchange. As we're playing through the event, I could get some of this, and that'll increase our odds somewhat, because I could get another, let's see, I could get another 20. Plus, I believe the chapter itself has available lunacy. So maybe I could get in a couple more pulls, but I don't know what the odds are there. Anyway, we are going to go straight to hard mode, because why in the world would I not? I'm experienced with the game, don't worry. But I do want to check quickly what bonus units exist, and it doesn't look like there's much. Using the egos is the only thing you have. So that's great. At most I can get an 80% boost. I can't get the 120 until I buy Title Elegy Ishmael, which is... I mean, it'll help because it'll make things faster, because those gain boosts are really valuable, but for the most part, we are just at the whims of fate, because Ishmael's ego is also the most expensive thing here. It's 1,000. And then I'll have 3 out of 4, which isn't terrible, but also I would have liked more. That's gambling for you. Rarely does it go in your favor. So it looks like we're looking at gloom and gold affinities. Let me see. Oh. That's... Okay, I'm going to have to go equip the egos manually then so I can actually have that. Which team do I want to throw in? We'll throw in team 1 just because that way I can tear it apart to a degree. That means I need to go here to get the boost because it won't let me edit anything otherwise. Faust! You got ego to equip! So, and then we also need to equip Honglu's. There we go. They're both equipped. I should probably equip you with a wall ego. That aside, I don't know what we're in for. Bit of a mystery. So let's see what this first level entails. I am curious. But you can see from equipping the egos, we get the 40% boost, which is good. So, again, the weaknesses are, I believe it's Gloom and Sloth, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it basically just colors. You might actually be a decent choice this song, though. But I do kind of want to play around his given ego, so it looks like Thunder the thing. I don't know if there's anything to play around with this, actually. I'm looking, though. Real quick. Doesn't look like these match up to a different... So aside from poise, it doesn't look like there's much. So I think we are going to go with this ID for Honglu. Probably my best one for that. Interesting that it has me doing Gregor. Sadly, we don't have Gregor's best stuff, to be honest. I don't use Gregor a lot, to be frank. So I guess we'll throw in Pirate Gregor? I have to level him real quick, but that aside, it seems like a good choice. And then we can throw in an Ishmael, which I should have a few. Who do I feel like? There's a few Ishmaels I could use. I could just use Molar. I'm feeling Molar today. And finally, you. Once again, couple options. I think we're going to get the what did you have again? Not a lot, sadly. I mean, at least the gold move would be effective for this ID. So would this one though, and you're already leveled, so with that thought process, we'll go with that. So let's get into battle. I will have to move things around as we go. That'll be the other thing. Let me hide this Discord thing so that it's not in the way, so y'all can read. And then I think we'll be good. Let's start reading. I was exploring a Lobotomy Corporation branch when consciousness sunk into the depths. Sense of cognition itself was a concept without form, floats into the shadow of an ever-winding river, swept up into its currents to nowhere. When we ran into an abnormality. But Sod told us that Hongwan's Lobotomy Corp branch should be free of any abnormalities. The abnormality, which had appeared out of nowhere, was more otherworldly than any we'd encountered so far in our journey, and deep blue. It was a fathomlessly blue and seemed to have a pull that endlessly drew us into itself. Just as I was about to recall this abnormality, a myriad of sceneries, I think? And a flood of incalculable thoughts crashed into my mind like wild waves before ebbing away from its shores. I was already lost and adrift somewhere within my own consciousness when I realized this. Just how long am I going to be adrift? The sensation of my own consciousness floating away is quite the unfamiliar one. Floated about in that strange state for a while. Te? An unfamiliar voice seizes my aimlessly drifting consciousness. Are you Dante? I have no idea how I'm gonna voice these characters. Maybe for now I'll move chat down, because it is a little distracting that y'all are, you know, so far up when the thing's not there. So I'll move things around. Just to make things work. The fog of my vision clears as the voice breaks through the waves. Actually, it occurs to me I should have done it this way. Otherwise we end up not complicated getting used to this new setup. A concerned expression comes into view. Yes, I am. Ah, what a relief. Gregor, I think Dante has come too. So, who are... I was about to ask further questions to this stranger with the particularly long animal-like ears, but... felt the drowsiness coursing back with the terrifying memories of the dream, rendering me unable to speak. I have to get a hold of myself. After an indeterminate amount of time had passed, I barely managed to wake myself from the slumber to get a grasp of my surroundings, only to find myself surrounded by more unfamiliarities. There was that stranger from earlier, sitting atop a rock and silently taking in the sights, a young girl who probably saved my life. Wait, so were those animal ears after all? Okay, that's not important right now. I have to prioritize figuring out just where in the world I ended up in. So we're standing by the Iberian? It's hard to tell what's an I and what's an L, but it's probably an I, so Iberian? Because I would think it would be capitalized. Again, hard to say. How are you feeling? A little out of it, but I'm okay otherwise. Iberia, huh? Yes, we're in Iberia. Well, given that we're next to an ocean, maybe I drifted all the way to U-Corp's Great Lake? Probably not. Iberia was an unfamiliar name, but that was all I had to go on, given that the city was still so full of more unknowns than knowns to me. I radioed your colleagues when you briefly woke up earlier. They'll be here any minute. I see. Wait, my colleagues? You must have run into the sinners then? The fog on my mind immediately cleared as soon as I realized that the sinners were all nowhere to be seen. Sinners? I think so? I ran into them earlier. They were looking all over the place for someone with a clock for a head. It was pretty unique description, so I could tell right away that you were the person they were looking for. This clock head does come in handy. I'd woken up in an unfamiliar place to an unfamiliar face, and in the midst of it all, a round sense of displacement. The faces that appeared before me were certainly a sight for sore eyes. Gregor, Hong Lu. Miss Rabbit here told me she found you unconscious by the ocean, and I came as fast as I could, and oh boy, I was worried something bad might have happened. Glad to see you're doing fine. Were you lost at sea? I don't know. Well, I do think I'm fine, though. I guess not having any way to drink water's finally come in handy. You should get that checked out just in case. Wait, your head's waterproof, right? Gregor takes a moment to steady his breathing, then mutters a casual quip as he lights a cigarette. Well, he doesn't seem that concerned. Maybe we're not actually in that much danger? So, what happened? Where are we? Do you remember entering that lobotomy corp branch Zichun told us about? Ah, yeah. Yeah, we ran into a new abnormality and got sucked into it before we even had the chance to do anything. Man, I really thought that was it for us. Especially with you getting sucked in there too, Manager Bud. But when we came to, despite waking up with our faces down in some ditch, we were all fine without a scratch. Though there was quite the mess when we realized you'd gone missing. We wanted to search for you immediately, but it took a while before we got a better bearing on where we were. So we're not at U-Corp's Great Lake? Some of us considered that to be a distinct possibility, but it's unlikely. Ishmael was really certain that we are not in District 21. She did concede that we might be in an unknown area within the Great Lake of the outskirts, but that doesn't seem likely either, given what the rabbit-eared lady there said. The outskirts region of the Great Lake. I've met all kinds of people all over Terra, but I've never met anyone who referred to the Iberian Sea that way. Huh? Iberia? As I found myself puzzled by these unfamiliar terms, a very obvious question suddenly struck me. Speaking of which, who are you? Huh? Really? You fellas haven't introduced yourselves to each other yet? It's just that it's all just a lot to take in. It's understandable. You did just wake up from a pretty harrowing experience. She is, actually, would you like to do the honors yourself? I'm Amiya, the leader of Rhodes Island. Please, just call me Amiya. I'm Dante, manager at Limbus Company. I know I'm late, but thanks for saving my bacon. Seems that Rodeo Island is a pretty big pharmaceutical corporation, but Gregor trails off ominously and scratches his head before continuing with some mild trepidation. This young lady with the rabbit ears doesn't know what the head is at all. As far as I know, there aren't any organizations in Terra with the same characteristics as the one Mr. Gregor explained. At least not with a name like the Head. Also, sorry, it's Rhodes Island, not Rodeo. Sorry, Gregor's kinda bad with names. So, what you're saying is that we're not in the city anymore? It'd be weird for any higher-ups at these huge corporations to know less about the Head than we do, let alone be completely clueless about it. Well, maybe we've tumbled into a previously undiscovered zone of the outskirts or the ruins? Probably. Or maybe we've really found ourselves in a completely different world. If our conjecture is correct, we're in way bigger trouble than I thought. This wasn't like the time we accidentally stranded ourselves in the outskirts via a door in the corridor. Mia stared at me with some concern, as though she felt my distress. I think I can draw a connection to something else that's been happening here. Really? Recently, anomalous signs and events have been occurring in Iberia ever since a mysterious dimensional door appeared at sea. And it's been said that this dimensional door is connected to something very, very distant. To something we'd never observed before, so it seems reasonable to theorize that the dimensional door we somehow managed to cross over into this world. I really would have appreciated Faust's input. Where'd all the other sinners go anyway? A bit late on the update to be gawking around for the other sinners now, don't you think? They're at a settlement near here, where they're all helping out with various odds and ends of the village, while taking turns searching for Dante, of course. You know, I never thought about how difficult it would be to search for someone when we're all like fish out of water too. Man, barely even got a wink of sleep since yesterday. Everyone's gotta be really tired then. So, it's just you two out here for now? No, Ishmael and Yiseng are the other half of the search party, and we just happen to be the last group in the rotation. They must be searching elsewhere to find you, Manager Bud. We got the news in a hurry thanks to Amaya's comm gear, but the other team didn't. Yeah, we got lucky. The other team, well, we don't have a way to get in touch with them, so they'll probably continue their search until their shift's done. Oh, are we talking about the village you mentioned earlier? Huh? Right, you haven't been there yet, huh? I guess it's a bit off the beaten path. Well, we're gonna have to rendezvous with the other sinners anyway, so let's head to the village for now. Something seemed to pique Amia's interest, and she fell into a contemplative silence before carefully speaking up. I would like to accompany you there. Sure, I don't see why not. You helped us find Manager Bud, and more importantly, you seem to know a lot more about this place than we do. I don't actually know Iberia that well either, but I should be able to be of some help. They've closed their borders and have practically locked out any foreign influences from affecting them, but I did get a briefing before the mission. Closed borders, huh? Then how'd you get in, Miss Amiya? We followed Dr. I don't even know how to begin to pronounce that. I'm gonna assume this is a doctor. So a sibling of mine watched through the Arknights, I guess, anime for like the 3 seasons that exist. And apparently there's a character in there that's just referred to as the Doctor. So I'm just gonna say the Doctor for the sake of my own sanity. And if it's not the right character, it'll be really awkward, but I also don't feel like mispronouncing a name that terribly. We followed the Doctor's directions and illegally crossed the country border. Illegally? Oh, does that mean you crossed the border without obtaining any permission, Amiya? We had to cross the border somehow in order to investigate how and why the dimensional door came to be. Is this normal? Normal. That's the word. Normal for pharmaceutical companies to be doing that. Large pharmaceutical companies often dispatch their agents for missions. Yes, Rhodes Island is, in its essence, a pharmaceutical company researching treatments for people infected with oropathy. But we also work to prevent and assist the management of various situations that can occur in high-risk areas. High-risk areas, huh? Wait, what about your companions? I doubt you came all the way here on your own. We were forced to split up due to certain forces that were in pursuit. Wait, stop! Mia's ears twitched as she came to a stop and began scanning the surrounding area. Then, there. As we stood about confused, Amiya, noticing something, pointed toward the seashore hidden behind large and cragged rock formations. What are we supposed to... Huh? There, we saw someone wielding a lengthy greatsword, figuring with two familiar faces. Again, move. You're in the way. Needn't worry as you do. Briefly, real quick, I'm going to adjust the game volume to be a little bit louder, because it's a little quiet for my taste. I don't think it needs to be quite that low. I guess I could check briefly. Real quick before we continue, I'm going to check the volume of stream. I want to make sure the audio sounds good, and if I can turn it up, I will. Just before we get into combat, because I know this level features combat somewhere. Okay, so yeah, I think I could definitely raise the volume, but also I'm thinking I'm going to turn down a setting real quick just to make things a little smoother. Done. I think that'll be fine. I should sound a bit smoother now, maybe a little less cut off. With that in mind, I'm going to change the game volume and then I'm going to check how it looks. So let's try it at... Well, first of all, I got to adjust the limiter. This is the problem. I'm trying to get a point where it's not as terrible. So let me lower this to maybe there. I think that'll do. And then let me turn the game volume back up so you all can hear it again. Let me see. Let's go like 75. How's that look? Hopefully that works a bit better. So I gotta let it play for a couple seconds and then I can check on the stream. I think we could go even louder, honestly. I think let's stick to like negative 20 decibels is the limit, and then I'll just adjust my volume accordingly. So this should be the last time I have to adjust it. We'll go to there. Game's pretty much at maximum volume for me now. And we should be good to go from there. So yeah, let's keep going. You needn't worry as you do. We have had ample experience battling monsters who are much like them. Listen, I'm not worried, it's... Come on, better to have 3 fighters than 1, right? Besides, you're the first person we ran into out here, so we've got a lot of questions to ask. He's saying, Ishmael! Dante, you are unharmed. And here I was, getting ready for a 3-day-long search. What a relief. We were all really worried that we might not be able to find you. We managed to find them thanks to help from Miss Amiya here. Amiya? Are you two acquainted? Not a good time for a reunion. It can wait until after we take out the sea monsters. Skadi, are those organisms the seaborns the doctor mentioned? They are sea terrors, to be specific, the less sophisticated ones among them. And they're probably here for me. Sea terrors. I hear the sticky noise of something viscous slithering against the rocks. When I turned to face the origin of the unsettling noise, I smelled the heavy, wet scent of brine. At the end of my gaze awaits strange monsters. Unlike distortions, unlike abnormalities, unlike anything I'd ever seen. It's as though the sea itself is encroaching upon the land. I was almost certain we weren't at the Great Lake, but I'm not so sure anymore. Her experiences with the thick scent of brine at the Great Lake must have put her at a wary mood, as Ishmael seemed to be a lot more apprehensive about these monsters than anyone else. Do you think those creatures could be whales or mermaids? I don't know. The Great Lake and the outskirts are full of unexplored mysteries after all. Dante, what do your senses say? It's unclear. I'd say the closest comparison I can make is with the whales, but even that's not conclusive. That is troublesome, to say the least. Checking a couple things. I think we're fine, though. More enemies on the horizon. We should prepare for a battle. Doesn't seem like we can talk things out with them, though. So, let's take them out. And alright, I think I'm gonna have to move my camera, so let me do that. I reside down here usually during battles. That's just general rule of thumb. It's a little easier. And we only have 4 characters to work with, but they have a lot more actions than 4. They're gonna get some free damage off inevitably. There's not a lot I can do about that. Okay. With that all said, I'm gonna check a couple last things for this other layout. I'm thinking I could probably duplicate this scene. And that way we could have one for this area, because now I can bring back the Discord thing, and then I just gotta move chat to its proper place. And there we go. We have the 2 respective seats. So now I can work efficiently. That's nice. Alright, so let's get to battling. I'm hopeful, though. These first few clashes don't look terrible, at the very least. So, go for it. In the end, Limbus Company will always prioritize winning clashes. That's just the main way to go about things. That's not a good start, but you won in the end. That's what matters. In the end, we just gotta beat these monster things. That is the main idea. Yeah, as I said, they're getting free damage in because we don't have enough actions. And unfortunately, it's not an abnormality style battle, so I don't... Like, ordinarily, I'd say don't bother attacking the staggered ones, because that way we could get all these actions. But I don't think we're gonna get that opportunity. Which sucks, because I should be able to get this one otherwise. It's kind of just luck of the draw for you. That is what it is. Alright, we got more enemies coming in. It looks like there's a total of 12 of them. So not terrible. I think I can manage that. Go with the blue one just to do a bit more damage. I do want to try out some of the egos later on, but I'm thinking we'll save that for more like boss fights. I think that makes more sense. Alright, it looks like we're approaching the end of these things, because there's only 5 left. Let's finish them off, hopefully. That should be enough damage, I would think. At least I would hope. I'm feeling pretty good, though. I've seen very few problems. And there we go. Mission accomplished. No usual victory screen, huh? All right. And let me switch to the other scene. So this one just shifts chat, and then I just need to move my camera back up to here. And that should do, really. Okie dokie. let's get back to it. All remaining enemies have retreated to the sea. Good work, everyone. Didn't think I'd have to deal with anything remotely like this outside the Great Lake. You could say that again. It would have taken us a whole day if that Skeety character hadn't occupied the other half while Miss Rabbit helped us from a distance. We were catching our breath after the battle. I heard a brief hum. When I turned to look at its source, I saw Skeety glaring at me with palpable alarm. Strange people who transform. And a head of a clock. I guess they're both technically true. While it's nothing more than a theory at this point, I think they have a lot to do with the dimensional door we're supposed to be investigating. Nice to meet you, I guess? I only hear a ticking clock. Oh, that's because only the sinners can hear Dante's voice. Huh? What's up? No, I'm just wondering how Miss Amiya can seemingly understand Dante. Yeah, what's going on here? That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it till just now. Initially, I thought she was just guessing, but that's clear. I don't know. I'll keep reading. Yeah, that completely flew over my head that I didn't even question how weird this is. Their voice sounds like a ticking clock to me too, but I don't know. It's almost like I can sense what they're trying to say, what kind of emotion they're trying to convey. Her explanation reminded me of the Blue Boy in Sinclair's past, but I didn't quite feel the uncanny sensation from Amiya that I felt from them. So she can read me kinda like how Vergilius can, I guess? Well, I don't think it's a bad thing. That's true. It's been a bit of a hassle to always need Faust or Honglu to translate for you, Dante. I'd like to know exactly how she can understand Dante, but I don't think we've got the luxury of time to sit down to figure this out. So are we heading back? Sounds like a plan. It's not like we know anywhere else to go, right? Oh, and Miss Rabbit here will be tagging along too. She said she'd help us find our way back. I'm glad to be working with you two also, Miss Ishmael. I don't know why I struggled with Ishmael's name. Mr. Yiseng. Took the words right out of my mouth. You've already helped us out plenty, and you clearly know a lot more about this place than we do. The journey is long. Perhaps embarking on it ere the sun's fall would be wise. How long's the journey? No idea. It's not like we have a clock with us. I do know it's not very far, though. We just need to walk along the coastline for a bit. Skitty quietly points in my direction. Yeah, I know. I know my face is a clock. I don't think it actually tells time. Dante can't tell us the time because they're not on time. Then why the clock head? I didn't exactly choose to get myself a clock-shaped head. I looked away from Skitty's inquisitive eyes, which were quite solidly fixed on my head. The coasts of Iberia are hardly good places for people to live. Those things can go anywhere in this world, but they thrive at places that meet the ocean. So how did people manage to build a village at a place like this? The monsters are called Seaborns, or Sea Terrors, yes? While it's true they posed certain difficulties, they were hardly the kinds of monsters with the strength to bring Scourge or drive out the local populace. Don't judge them based on that brief skirmish. She's telling us to be on our guard, right? Skitty can be a bit curt, but she's not a bad person. I don't think she said anything wrong. Nothing rules out the existence of stronger variants of these creatures being out there. Skitty's concern only served to fan my curiosity, but something about her expression communicated that I probably shouldn't pry. So I quietly quickened my pace as we walked to the village. And there we go. Woo! We got plenty of event currency, so that's good. Nowhere near enough to afford anything. Like, we have 126 according to this, so it's not the most, but we at least have some. If I'm not mistaken, beating stuff on hard also beats it on normal, so we don't need to worry about that. That'll be very helpful to us. It is... I was going to say I'm not used to them releasing hard mode, like, immediately. But upon further thought, I can see why. Because this isn't ever going to come back. This is one time. So once we're done here, that's it. They're not going to rerun the event or anything. So in hindsight, I get it. That's my point. That in mind, let's head to the next area. Village of the Dead Lighthouse. Unfortunately, this looks like it's just a reading level, so we'll be there a while. Reading levels tend to take time, like about as much time as a battle level does, but it's all reading, so my voice, I'm gonna drink water. Stay hydrated, everyone. It's important. This hardly looks like a village. It's more like the ruins of one, isn't it? It doesn't seem like they've done any proper upkeep to keep the place, not in a while, at least. They're really here, living together. The strange buildings tell stories of former prosperity from a bygone era. Our steps leave no footprints on the wet, muddy ground. On it, I see the rotting sign marked with the name Faro Muerto. Everywhere I look in this village, I see evidence of long, silent abandonment. You don't see these kinds of abandoned-looking ruins often in the city either. Well, yeah, there's always someone or something out there waiting to capitalize on that free real estate, be it a syndicate or a corporation, and fix it up. Better than this, at least. So, where are the sinners? Ah, there's a clearing down there where we were entrapped betwixt the twain of great ships narrowing winds against our sail. That sounds very much Don Quixote. Oh, and that is when young Ishmael boomed, her command most resonant. Say no more. I didn't even have to try to search for them. That unmistakably sonorous and familiar voice echoing triumphantly between the empty buildings. That's Don Quixote's voice when she's sharing her adventurous tales. There she was, standing atop a low podium like an actor on a stage, regaling a group of people in rags with tales of our adventures, like a traveling thespian. Answers, ye dogs! Carsmen! 'Tis the moment Ishmael, the first mate of vessel Mephistopheles, shall never— Ah! Stop! Hold on. Just what do you think you're doing? Young Ishmael, unhand my mouth, for I was about to regale them with the most fantastic tale of adventures at the great, Manager Esquire. Verily, thou hast returned with Manager Esquire safely in tow. What, they found Clockhead? A burning clock for a head. When I was a child, I heard a story about a legendary Sarkaz with a flaming head. Why would someone like that visit our humble village? While their exterior may carry elements that inspire fear in some, there is no cause for alarm. Yeah, they might look like that, but they're Dante, our manager, and the rest are... Oh, hello. I'm sorry, who are you two? They're two nice people who helped us find Dante. This is Miss Amia, leader of Rhodes Island. And this is Miss Skadi, their operator. They'll be coming along with us for a little while. With us? We believe the dimensional door, which we at Rhodes Island are investigating, has something to do with why you suddenly woke up here in Iberia. As Amia was bringing the sinners up to speed, the villagers, who were staring at us curiously, approached us. Did our conversation manage to convince them that we're not a threat? I sure hope so. You are friends of our saviors. Saviors. Verily, 'tis quite the grand title, yet that is indeed the word by which we're addressed. To be more precise, by saviors, they were referring only to Faust and Otis. Faust gave me a light nod when we made eye contact, but I could tell that her lips were drawing a very, very subtle smiling arc. So, I'm guessing something did happen. They were quite mistrustful upon our initial arrival. What business do outsiders have here? What if they're from the Inquisition? Oh no, what do we do after all we went through to get here? Calm yourselves, everyone. None of them are carrying what appears to be their scriptures or lamps. Let's first try to see who they are. Man, I don't think they're gonna trust us anytime soon. They're all old Crimogens. That's STNC, then PTSD. You can't do that, Ryoshu. We can't pillage their storage depots. It looks like they already have it hard enough as it is. I don't think STNC is a good way to get started either. Should we just find help elsewhere? Look how thin their arms are. I don't think they're in any shape to help us out. Perhaps we could inquire as to the whereabouts ere we are to decide our lodging. While the landscape is certainly reminiscent of U-Corp's, but I don't recall seeing or learning about any place that looks like this, though. I can't say I've been to every corner of U-Corp. I ask again, what business do outsiders have here? Their fingers are tightening around the grips of their weapons. Prolonged silence will most likely turn this into a hostile encounter. But we can't have that. Hi, we're from Limbus Company. We're fixers of justice. Yeah, that. Fixers of Oi! Don't you know when to keep it down? Fixers. That over there. It's a ship blueprint, isn't it? Are you looking to repair a vessel by any chance? All these construction materials seem to suggest so. Chief? This does not concern you. It is not something a mere outsider can understand. Curious. I've never seen an energy source like this before. Have you run the test to rule out any stability issues? It seems to power the heat exchanger via some method comparable to the utilization of a fusion energy. Have you any thoughts on this, Miss Faust? The general design structure is somewhat old-fashioned, but there certainly are inspired parts to this design, particularly with the usage of a core energy source. While its stability would need to be further studied, this technology seems to be incredibly energy efficient. You identified all that by merely glancing at this blueprint? You must be the village chief then? So, I have a proposition for you. In return for assisting their ship repair, we are promised a ride on their vessel. Miss Faust has theorized that perhaps, by going out to sea, we may be able to find a way to return to whence we came. Does that mean we can find a way back somewhere out there in the sea? Nothing is certain yet, Dante. At this moment, we are working based on a hunch. A hunch? Sensing the implicit omen in her choice of words, I slowly turned to look at Faust, who nodded solemnly in response. Checking a couple things real quick while I'm between lines. Stream still looks good. All right. If we're really in different world, then her Gesellschaft has to be no issues were encountered in the repair process. Faust smiles faintly as she looks around. Then she pulls me in by my hems. She whispers in a low voice. My connection to Gesellschaft is currently operating at suboptimal level, Dante. So it's still connected at least? Indeed, it is. However, even exchanges of simple information are taking up to dozens of hours by current calculation. Is this a warp train station? because we're in a different dimension? The cause should be identical. We have been connected to an unidentified, unpredictable dimension. However, Faust is aware that the pathway to our original dimension is yet to close this time, unlike the situation back aboard the warp train. So to get back to where we came from, indeed, traveling through the pathway is the most feasible solution. And from that, you came up with the whole plan to repair the ship and sail out to sea. Yes, well, I am also a genius after all. Mia conjectured that we probably came through a dimensional door of sorts. Looks like that dimensional door might be what Faust is looking for. With high likelihood, yes. At least there's a way back. I find myself calming down a little. Oh, speaking of which, when do you think we can wrap up the repair job? As fortune should have it, a majority of the most time-consuming parts of the repair have already been completed by the locals. It shouldn't take us more than a day or two to get this core parts in ship shape again, Executive Manager. We'll be staying here for a few more days then. How did you manage last night? Well, like I said earlier, we've been keeping ourselves busy looking for you this whole time. We took turns helping with the repairs and resting, but I doubt any of us got a proper night's rest. Still, we weren't cold, thanks to the villagers who kept the fire going for us all night. Not to mention how they helped us with a ton of local map that they drew for us. Oh, also, Chief handed this to us earlier. What's it for? Ah, looks like a sack to collect water. Give it here. I know how to get that installed. It must be to repay Miss Faust and Miss Otis's efforts at repairing their ship, yet the service they provide us is certainly quite generous, even when taking the transactional nature into account. They're really giving us the best treatment they can, huh? As for food, we managed to fill ourselves with some cookies and bread Rhodia keeps in her pockets. Didn't want to eat into their food supply when they're already pretty tight. You know? She carries enough cookies and bread for 12 people. They did offer us some nosh, those dried fish things, but we refused. I ain't about to take food from the needy. No need to concern yourselves with our hospitality. You have done more than enough to earn your keep. I turned around to look at the source of that low, rumbling voice, and we saw an old man in an outfit that seemed to distinguish itself amongst the other villagers. There you are, Chief. Is there a place for us to stay the night? We do have places to shelter from the misty humidity at the very least. There's an empty building there, so feel free to occupy it for the night. Oh, are you sure? I mean, I don't mind sleeping in the streets myself. Hey, speak for yourself. I've been looking forward to sleeping with a roof over my head since, like, yesterday. You'll catch a cold sleeping in the elements in this environment, which is fine by me for the rest of you, but we cannot afford to have the executive manager or our honored guests suffer that fate. Honored guests? I heard what happened to the 4 who left in search of the executive manager. First, I would like to begin by imparting my infinite gratitude upon you for finding and rescuing the executive manager. I hear that you are the leader of the pharmaceutical company. This acquaintance shall certainly come in handy, in case our stay becomes significantly prolonged. I'm just surprised by her boldness to say something so materialistic when they're standing right there. Can I stay in your village too, Chief? The village chief took a brief glance at the hems of her right wrist, then nodded. Welcome to Ferro Muerto. You are welcome to stay as long as you want. And please, do let me know if you find yourselves without food. Our food supply may be tight indeed, but we have enough to share for those who helped repair our vessel. Oh, you better not go back on your word later. I wonder what kind of local delicacies await. Dried fish like they were eating earlier, maybe? Hey, Chief. What is it? Just how are you surviving out here? By the sea? Perhaps the question of how we are surviving may be somewhat misdirected. For we are only pursuing every possible avenue because we must survive. The chief responds to Skiddy's perceived hostility with a hearty smile. After leaving some firewood for the night, he left. I'm going. Can't learn much more from here. Huh? You're going somewhere at this hour. Skiddy, does this have something to do with the coast? I remember what you said before we got to the village. Something about how the coasts are hardly good places to live in? Dante wants to know if this is something to do with the coast? Do you understand the Aegir? I can't even, what does an AE sound like? What is, they merged the letters together. What do I do? Aegir language? No? Dante, Skiddy just spoke in Aegirian. I couldn't understand a word of Skiddy and the chief's conversation because I don't speak Aegirian. It may only be that we were enough lexical similarity between the city's languages and the language Skiddy spoke in them to comprehend the meaning. Weird coincidence. Anyway, I have some things to look into. Something you're all too slow to see. You still have to tell us about it later. Please remember, you're not on a solo mission, Skiddy. This is a team effort for Rhodes Island. Will do. Skiddy nodded lightly before leaping off into the night, out of our sights. I'm kinda worried. She's not the best with people, but she's also pretty thoughtful. She'll be okay. Should we head inside? The sun's starting to set already. Oh, yeah. We could probably just pick an unlit building to stay the night there, right? Trying our best to ignore the mood that was starting to turn awkward, we made our way into a nearby unoccupied building. And there we go. Story done for now. Terra. Interesting. Once again, checking a couple things. Nothing too significant. Alright, everything still looks good. That is just a consequence of trying a new setup today. Unfortunately, that means I have to check things periodically. Righty then. More story. I like how my chosen image, apparently for the loading screen, is a black screen. Alrighty then. We walked past a few narrow buildings and the remnants of narrow buildings before we came across a hall large enough to house all 15 or so of us. Okay, now we're ready. With the curtains on the window removed, the smoke has an exit. Whoa, I thought we were doomed to shut ourselves to sleep in soaking wet firewood and all. I had no idea that'd work. We just have to get a small fire going underneath it until the wood dries up and catches fire. The downside being all this smoke. It's clear that she has some field experience, unlike some fools I know. I shan't sit here and let her carry the burden of labor alone. Bequeath upon me thine ingredients, young Rodian, for I shall conjure thee pot of special fixer soup. You're making soup with the cookies and jelly. No, you are not getting anywhere near the kitchen again. Not after what you cooked up last time. While I must admit to a certain level of interest, as many of our fellows' viscera are oft racked with intense agony upon ingesting dishes of your making, perhaps it would be wiser that we save the occasion for a safer environment. Right, don't you remember? We agreed to leave cooking to Mare or Odie if we were ever in a situation like this. Remember? Did we? See, I think it's become a sort of unspoken rule after everything that happened. Remember? Back during last year's cooking contest at K-Corp? They were the only two people who managed to get remotely positive reviews. Oh, does that mean we'll try Otis's cooking once again? Denied. We saw plenty of high-calorie foods like cookies and jellies here. I find no reason to do something so inefficient. I'm glad to see that everyone's still energetic, given the circumstances. It can't be easy to suddenly wake up in an unfamiliar environment. Well, we're all quite used to getting thrown into unfamiliar places. Speaking of which, did you manage to reach your colleagues, Amiya? She shook her head, concerned. They might have lost their comms devices, or maybe they ran into some other trouble. Could they be in danger? I don't know, but I'm sure they're okay. The doctor, they're both more than capable enough to look after themselves. Long have this curiosity lingered within me. Thus, allow me to inquire. Corporations are, by their nature, organizations in pursuit of profit. Yet the activities of your corporation resemble those of charity organizations, as opposed to a pharmaceutical company. Is there aught that might explicate this blurred distinction? I wanted to know too. How come a pharmaceutical company like Rhodes Island's helping people? Something about what Hong Lu said brings back unpleasant memories. The horrible experiment seen through the cascade of flowing tears in the face of suffering, the embodiment of greed that left a terrible wound in Hong Lu's fathoms. The pharmaceutical companies I've seen in my journey were corporations that, despite possessing the capacity to heal, chose to obsess over the profit it can provide. There are many in Terra who are suffering from a disease. The disease crystallizes you. It spreads deeper and deeper into the infected's internal organs, eventually culminating in their death. It's called oropathy. Amiya showed me the back of her right hand, dotted with what appeared to be obsidian crystallizations. Its appearance reminded me of the bio-treatments from the Black Streets, but there was something more to it. Something more restless, more sinister. It's a terrible, painful disease, but there haven't been any recorded cases of full recovery. But there's an even worse problem. Pray tell, what could possibly be worse than an incurable, deadly disease? While it varies region to region, discrimination against the infected is widespread across Terra. Those who suffer from it must face unfair treatment. Yu saying began with a dark expression. Some are quarantined in places with terrible, inhumane conditions, and there have been massacres too. I don't mean to be callous, but is this oropathy highly contagious? No, there have not been any recorded cases of infection by contact, as long as the subjects are alive. But when the infected dies, the crystal grows on their body decay into dust, scattering, which is what spreads the plague. Then, barring environments like active battlefields where casualties are to be expected, staying within close proximity of the infected in daily life seems to pose hardly any risk. So what's the problem then? They're already past the point of caring about what's the problem is. Once people start feeling iffy, all logic goes out the window. Then Rhodes Island's goal has to be... Yes, it is important to develop a cure for oropathy, but I think what really matters is that we change the circumstances for the better for the infected. That's not going to be an easy endeavor, though that is what gives your effort more meaning. I hope you can achieve that goal, Amiya. I really do. For true. This city, this world. We both live in worlds full of surprises, don't we? What kind of world did you come from? This city? What kind of place is the city anyway? The kind of place with too many pointless rules. The kind of place where the moment you think, isn't this too much, you'll see something even worse. Try as I might, I couldn't think of a single positive thing about the city. The sinners seem to be in agreement, as most of what came after was quite scathing. The kind of place where good deeds rarely ever go unpunished, where sympathy is a good attitude to have if you like getting stabbed in the back. Nothing good ever works out there. It's a shithole. It's an irrational place full of absurdities. Absurdity is an omnipresence. Therefore, it is not a subject by which one should be aggrieved? We can at least grouse about them, though. I mean, it's the only thing we can do. It would be more correct to experience more and acclimatize oneself to it instead of complaining. You did say something like that last time. Just as the mood was starting to turn rather sour, Don Quixote's shouts shattered through the awkwardness. Verily, nary goes a day goeth by untarnished by villains and their fell deeds. Yet worry thee not, for where evil riseth, so doeth victors of justice too. Don Quixote jumped from her seat and passionately shook her fist, which was followed by a heavy crack and the sound of small pebbles tumbling down. Don Quixote, watch out! Whoa! Hi. That was unexpected. And from behind the wall she accidentally broke down, an unfamiliar visage of a villager appeared and stared back at Don Quixote. It appeared that she was eating something out of a can while reading a book. Silence. Goodness. How farest thou? Farest thy foot? You gotta apologize first. Last seemed a tad too hyper today. Apologies, for I hardly expected the wall to crumble with such ease. Art thou unhurt? Any injuries? To, pray tell what? Forget the apology. I just want to know what happens next. The fixers of justice rose up to do what? Oh, hast thou come to hear the tale of fixers? I don't know about coming to us, given how Miss Don Quixote was the one who punched the wall down? Ahem. Oh, is it too late an hour? I don't mind waiting till morning if you want to sleep. Nay, not at all. 'Tis quite an early hour for tales, in fact. Prithee, seat thyself here. You ungovernable fool. Calm down. We don't even know who she is. And don't you forget to share those fixer tales over there in the corner. Do not disturb our sleep. Thou makest a request most unattainable. These tales deserve to be announced to the world with great gusto from the center. Yeah, that's the best way to hear those kinds of stories, but we should probably introduce ourselves to each other first, rather. Name's Mayors. How should I put this? Did you meet the village chief earlier during the day? He's my Gramps. Oh, that nice guy? So he had a granddaughter. Yet I have not seen you once, Miss Mayors, under the sun. Oh my, you're right. I thought the village was completely dried of any young blood. Like Radia said, while we didn't see any Mayors out there, there wasn't anyone else in the village we could comfortably call young. You're telling me Gramps was worrying over nothing and told me to stay put inside? Going on and on about the dangers the outsiders pose and everything. It seems they do not give full faith to their saviors. There are things you cannot share even with whom you trust with your life. Though I would like to know why. My, so there's a bunch of other kids who are stuck indoors in this village. No, there isn't anyone around my age in this village. At all. If that's the case, I guess I can understand why he'd be overprotective. Anyways, it's our turn. We are... I'm good. I heard enough to get an idea. You did. Oh? But how didst thou hear us? Via listening device, most secret upon our chamber? Mayoris tapped the side of the wall, the part of it that was still standing anyway, and smiled ironically. Bad soundproofing. I could hear pretty much everything. Don Quixote, right? Everything Don Quixote practically sang during the day. Verily, I see. I think you could really do with some sense of embarrassment for once. Well, I guess that's good enough for self-introductions. So, care to regale me with the tale of fixers who bring justice to the evils of the city? Indubitably, then, this shall do. I shall regale thee with a tale in which the legendary fixer, the Arc Magnificence herself, the Red Mist, hath. I suppose that killed any hope of a good night's sleep. But, don't you usually pass out within a minute of hitting your back against the hay, no matter how noisy things are? What? Do you take me for some kind of hibernating bear or something? Look, even I have trouble sleeping when there's noise all over. I'd say bear in hibernation is a pretty apt descriptor. For all that grumbling and moaning, he dozed off before any of us did. Aside from Heathcliff, who began snoring the moment his head touched the ground, some other sinners were fast asleep as well. Rousseau had entered sleep in his usual steadfast adherence to his routine, while Faustlade claimed one of the few available cloth sheets as soon as the close of business for the day was confirmed. The sinners, who had spent the entire last night searching for me in this unfamiliar land, slowly began to fall asleep as well. Meanwhile, the fixer of the Zwei Association's first section, though the night was no longer young, Don Quixote was still vigorously sharing tales of adventures without even a single sign of fatigue. She's not determined to do this until sunrise, is she? Oh, I guess it's okay since Mayoris seems to be having fun. As I continued to watch the pain with some mild concern, or not pain, pear, Mia, not yet asleep, approached me. This city Miss Don Quixote speaks of seems to be teeming with fixers of justice exhilarating tales of adventures. Do you actually experience all of them yourselves? No, of course not. Don Quixote's stories are usually those from other famous people. But she's telling it with such vigor that it almost sounds like she was there herself. Well, I guess if you really want to get into it, some of them might be retellings from Don Quixote's personal experiences. Ishmael replied uncertainly, thinking back to the plays we were made to watch back in La Mancha land. Well, I think all those stories, even though they're partially true, just go to show what a ridiculous place it can be. We wouldn't need fixers of justice to begin with if we really lived in just such a world, right? A really good place to live would be quiet and peaceful without having someone to force it. Quite true. I hope there'll come a day when Rhodes Island can be a normal pharmaceutical company in the future. Something wrong? No, I just thought Miss Mayors and I made eye contact for a second. Did she overhear our conversation? I looked in her direction as well, but all I saw was Mayors excitingly reacting to Don Quixote's tales. Whoa, what happened then? Thus spoke loudly Lady Otis, boldly before the soldiers who stood in our path. Thou presumest to stand in our path, servants of a master most unworthy? I, Otis, shall educate ye on how manner maketh. Don Quixote was now retelling the stories of Limbus Company's adventures in Hongwan, and Otis, who could no longer stand Don Quixote's unintentional alterations to the story, jumped to her feet and shouted, "Damn it! What kind of nonsense are you feeding her? I never said anything like that." Ahem. Fairly certain aspects of this retelling may have been exaggerated. That's Tales of Adventures for you. Things are bound to get a bit dry when the story is told too realistically and as is, right? You know, nothing, not even resembling a proper record or a book remained once the profound silence swept through the village. So I've always had a craving for these kinds of stories. But Iberia doesn't stop Iberians from immigrating, contrary to their tight immigration control. Have you ever thought about leaving this place? It still a challenge to cross the border, especially since we're going to have to pass through larger cities that are managed by the Inquisition. You don't seem particularly fond of this Inquisition. Why is that? That's because this village was formed by people who grew tired of living under the Inquisition's rule and fled. Dang, that really paints a picture. Sorry, but what kind of organization is this Inquisition? Sinclair asked, face turning cold upon hearing the word Inquisition, and that people fled from it. Yeah, the Nagel and Hammer we saw back at the Call? Whatever the word is, aren't the kind of memories that are so easily forgotten. According to the Doctor, the Inquisition is what filled the power vacuum once Iberia fell into chaos. That its inquisitors are the rapier and the lamp-wielding protectors from Iberia's cities from lawlessness. That alone kind of makes them sound like good people, though. Yeah, they are, but there's the Church of the Deep. The Inquisition will go to whatever lengths to deal with the incidents related to that Church of Worship Seaborns. Why, an organization that worships those monsters? It seems like cultish fanaticism is a plague wherever we go. I feel like people with all kinds of wrong faiths and beliefs are so common. See, the Seaborns are the ones that messed up Iberia, so following their logic, apparently it's okay for them to arrest anyone who seems remotely connected to them. Are you saying that Iberia is like this because of the Seaborns? Those things from earlier? I guess they were kind of troublesome to deal with, but they didn't seem that strong. Again, we've already established there's probably stronger versions based on the way they're being talked about. Don't get overconfident, people. Anyways, it's just what I heard from Gramps, but the Inquisition executed many innocent people too in their crusade against the Church of the Deep. Those who proclaim to be on the side of justice, they seem quite fond of committing such villainy. It seems like a reasonable policy decision to me, but it must pose a clear danger to the daily lives of civilians. Yeah, I heard I was the only survivor. Everyone in my family died. You must have had to endure such a long period of pain. To be able to say something like that with such composure. For Iberia, they are heroes who will bring the land back to its glory days. But to Gramps, they were just oppressors making his life difficult. That's why we've all come here, fleeing from the Inquisition's gaze. Yet, wherefore hast thou decided to settle at? A place that is so, run down? Indeed. Yeah, I know. It's not so bad once you get used to it. Besides, we've managed to find a new path thanks to you guys. A new path? Well, it's getting late. Will you be repairing the ship tomorrow, too? This place really has no soundproofing at all, huh? Good talk, everyone. Hope we'll get another chance to do this tomorrow, too. After seeing Mayor's head to our own room, the other sinners, those who are still up anyway, and I laid ourselves to the hard stone floor with only a thin layer of cloth between it and our backs. A mysterious world that is neither the city nor the outskirts. But it seemed that the lives of its people led were just as difficult as they were anywhere else. Alright then. That is that stage cleared. Right then. Looks like we're going into battle again. Good to know. Everything looks fine for the most part from what I'm seeing though. So that's also good. That in mind. How long have we been live so far? Nearly 2 hours. Looks like it's gonna be another long one because we're not even a third of the way through. No. Oh, I might have to cut this one in half. I have stuff to do tomorrow, so I can't stay up all hours. Nonetheless, I can probably get in at least 3 hours today, so we have another hour or so probably. And then I'm probably gonna have to call it, unfortunately. I'll probably come back to this not tomorrow, because I bought these Mario Galaxy remakes. I really want to play them. So I'll probably cover that tomorrow, but the day after we can come back to this. That in mind, let's get into a stage. Looks like we have access to everyone this time, but it's the same old weaknesses, so I might as well stick with the same-ish characters. What Faust do I want to bring? Ironically, this might be my best option. I mean, I'll have to level her real quick, but otherwise it's pretty good, I would say. Out of those. That's kind of funny. I'm running low on gold XP tickets, but I still have plenty of the blue ones. Anyway, so we should be able to include her now. That in mind, who else would fit? Oh, we could keep Ishmael and you. You did pretty good work, I'd say. We want ideally gold or light blue. I'm trying to remember who would be good for that. Claire have anything? I don't remember what this one is. No. I want to make this team effective, if that makes sense. That's mostly red and orange. T-Corp might be a good choice. I think I could also throw in this Don Quixote. It just requires, again, leveling. And then... yeah, we do have one more. Okay. I guess we can just bring in Pirate Gregor. We might as well. Alrighty then. Let's see what we're in for. It'll probably start with a bit of story first. It's so big! Amazing! I didn't know there were remaining vessels of this class in Iberia. Aha! I SB her name here. 'Tis called by the name of Rebellion de las Masses. Rebellion de las Masses. Revolt of the Masses, is it? A name much mired in peculiarity indeed. Hong Lu chimed in, but he was rather fond of it, with his size being about the same as the boat from his home. While Ishmael quickly jumped in to correct us that its size alone wasn't anything special at the Great Lake, but it was still pretty big compared to Mephi, or the Indigo's Elder's skiff. I thought it was going to be somewhere around Mephi's size at most. Are you sure you can get the ship fixed in a day or two? As I briefed you yesterday, the great majority of the time-consuming repairs had already been completed by the villagers. The extent of our repair efforts only concerns a few components with the vessel that the villagers could not repair, which shouldn't take us much time. Unless the parts are unfamiliar to Faust, are also malfunctioning, such as the core engine, remaining repairs should be sufficiently managed by Faust. Despite Otis's confident declaration, I couldn't help but feel oddly unsettled as I looked at the ship. I don't know why, but something tells me that we don't want to linger here for too long. Still, please be thorough about it, just in case. I'd rather not sit on a sinking ship again. The experience at the Great Lake was enough. Do not worry, Dante. Unlike Mephistopheles, most functions of this vessel, buoyancy gear, propellers, steering gear, are all at operational capacity. This repair should be easier than the case with Mephistopheles. They seem confident enough. It should be safe this time around, right? Are we taking that rope to climb up the ship? No, there's a lift-like apparatus down here. It should take us up to the ship. Its stability was verified yesterday. Let us board the lift. You're 100% certain, right? The boat is afloat right now, Dante. I don't think it'll be sinking anytime soon. Wouldn't that be nice? Boy, are you two just gonna faff about down here? We're heading up now. No, we're going with you. As I made my way into the vessel's bridge, I was greeted by the extravagant interior that was as gaudy as its exterior. This isn't real gold, is it? Sure is shiny as heck in here. I've got butterflies in my stomach. Yes. Aesthetically satisfying, she says. But too ostentatious. Not quite my style. Our young Mephi is quite the excellent vessel, yet imagine the adventures we could embark on aboard this vessel most lavishly decorated. As Faust and Otis were working on one of the control panels, Ishmael walked up to another and interfaced with it before giving it a knowing nod. This must have been an investigative or research vessel of sorts, but it doesn't seem a bit extravagant for one of those, though. Look, coordinates updating in real time. The coordinates seem to have been set to somewhere out in the middle of the ocean. Maybe it points to a small islet? Nope, no islet there. Wow! Blimey, lass! You sure know how to sneak up on people. Mayors? What? Did I actually surprise you? I did ask if you guys are gonna come fix the boat today. Still, I didn't know you'd be here. Why are the coordinates set to this location? There are several undersea cities beneath those coordinates, collectively known as Aegir. Gramps' home. I see. Understood. What was understood, if I may ask? It is now understood why the promise to repair the ship was sufficient to earn their trust and the title of saviors. What's she on about? Someone get translated. Consolidating and cross-referencing the observed particular circumstances of the village and the statements of the village chief alongside the information garnered from the exchange with the mayors, it is possible to gauge the significance of the ship's repair has to the local populace. Of course, while this may constitute a sequence of logical connections that pose a certain challenge for Heathcliff to comprehend, to employ any degree of effort to attempt to explain it is more digestible language would constitute a pursuit of inefficiency. Darn. Lower the baton, I implore you. I shall explain it in full. I was wondering when Miss Smartass would start grabbing like that again. So, what's she on about? Heathcliff's shoulders were relaxed. It didn't seem like he was actually going to swing the bat. He placed it lightly over his shoulder with a sigh. A brief observation of the village seemed to suggest that their substance, I think, situation was quite dire. Yeah, I would have expected like sustenance or something, but no, that's not what it says. Much of their daily subsistence consisted of dried food, most of them made for long-term storage purposes. Considering what Skadi said about how the coastal areas are full of danger, maybe those dried seafoods aren't from around here either. Maybe it's food they packed with them when they first came to Ferro Muerto? Some villagers were armed, yeah, and those sea terrors weren't exactly that formidable, but given the state the villagers are in, I doubt they'd have an easy time repelling those monsters. Indeed, and that brings us to the question of sustenance. Right, I get what's going on here. The lass and her granddad are about to visit their hometown, and they're trying to get some food supplies from there to feed the villagers. And to convince them, they're planning to use the fact they're from the same neck of the woods. Or sea, I guess. Oh, so we're not just repairing their ship, we're repairing their food supply pan too. Huh? What's wrong? It's, while the expressions were rather crude, Heathcliff's summary of the situation was clear, to the point, and easy to understand. The sinner stared at him in mild surprise. And I did too. What's with them annoying looks? Wait, oh, you sods! You don't think I'm that dim-witted, do you? Top-notch intuition. It's just that it's been a while since you've showed this side of yourself. Thinking back, Heathcliff's intuitions were always excellent, and he'd often put together surprisingly accurate conclusions with impressive speed. You know, when you really think about it, it's kind of your fault for I've been too soft on you lately, haven't I? Oh, get back here. Ahem. Now with those fools out of the conversation, was he correct? Otis looks away from the usual chaos and asks Mayors. Honestly, I'm surprised. He was on point. Yeah, food's been running low in the village. At this rate, we won't last another year. But the Aegir will. I'm sure they'll welcome us with open arms. I don't want to come off like I'm overly worried, but do you think they'll welcome the others too? Unlike Mayors or the chief, they're not Aegir. I believe they will. Iberia suspects and hates Aegir for no other reason that we're from the sea, but our home cannot have fallen so low as to abandon a group of starving land dwellers. Prithee, might thou explain to us who the Aegir are? I had initially thought it to be a reference to the region, yet it also seems to refer to the affiliation of sorts. Maybe there's something like nest dwellers? Though I don't think I've heard of a nest that accepts backstreets people with open arms. Or maybe they used to be some rich folk? If they call them nest toss Aegir here, then does that make rabbit-eared the last Aegir too? Wait, in the world you came from, do they not distinguish between races? That is not entirely true. Delineation between races is a concept that does not exist. Or rather, that does exist. I completely misread that. Though I saw them in the Fathoms, there were those terrifying things called the cuckoo spawns. However, as a general rule, it can be said that humans should be the only intelligent life forms in the city. The people of Terra have slightly varying appearances depending on race, like my Katus ears. And I've got pointed ears because I'm an Aegir, though it's not a characteristic every Aegir shares. The closest idea to what they're discussing appears to be, Don Quixote seemed to be struggling to finish her sentence. Rousseau stepped in to continue. By context clues and the manner of the word usage, including the means of classification, the closest example in our world would be blood fiends. Similar external appearances to human, different natures, comparable sapients. 'Tis my belief that blood fiends are ostracized due to their nature that maketh coexistence with humans difficult. It may be that the Aegir are also... I'm sure some of them do possess qualities that make coexistence with others difficult, but they're probably rare. Then wherefore are they made subjects of suspicion and hatred? That's... Well, the language is new, but the idea itself is pretty familiar to the city folks like us. Think of the feathers of fallen wings, kids born in the back streets, people who replace their body parts with prosthetics. The form differs, yet in its essence we find the thread. Something about how we keep finding these similarities in the ways of our lives, despite finding ourselves in a distant world with different rules, races, and humans, felt oddly discomforting. Ahem. The point is, you guys are doing us a real solid by fixing the ship. Let's move on from these gloomy conversations, okay? I want to show you the cooler parts of this ship. This way. The ship tour may have to wait. The repairs are almost completed, but an issue has arisen. Issue? Wow, that's not reassuring at all. Multiple life forms identified ahead, assumed to be the Sea Terror Horde. The ship's radar system seems to suggest that the vessel is surrounded. They're the same monsters from yesterday. Executive Manager, please order us to prepare for battle. Damn it, are they the Sea Terrors you encountered? They look a bit different, but yeah, probably. There's a lot of them, but if our last experience tells us anything, we should be able to handle this. Mia, please support us in battle like you did yesterday. Canst thou fight, young Mayors? I feel like I'm just gonna get in your way. Then guys, find a place to keep Mayors as far as possible from the battle. Then, let's hurry down there. We don't want them damaging the ship any further. Well, dang. Looks like we got a battle. Let's do this. At least I start off with a good amount of actions this time. Last time was so awkward, just missing some that would have otherwise made this so much simpler. Looks like I got quite a few dominating clashes in here, so that's good. Let's go like that. All right, I'm feeling pretty good. Let's begin. All right, already going pretty well. Some of them do look different though. That is true. Some of them resemble more like dogs almost, which is interesting. But overall, things are going solidly. All right, let's see if we can keep up the pace. I need to kill some of these. Let's go like so. I should probably check the enemy count because I don't know how many there are. That's the other thing. Don't know. Either way, we seem to be doing fine so far, so I'm not too worried. Okay. Yeah, I guess that should be fine. Not like using up his ammo particularly matters. It's usually fine. Let's do like that. That should work. I think you get the idea at this point. It's not too bad, honestly. Especially since we got some good IDs here, so nothing too terrible. Nonetheless, should have let my guard down. Okay, another set. A total of 20. Honestly, that seems fine. I don't think that'll take us too much longer to... Wow, they give us a lot of turns for this one, because I think it said 15. I'm gonna finish up in like 5 at this rate. Especially since as I got more actions, this is just gonna get faster. We're managing well enough, at least. Alright, I'll take success, honestly. Works for me. Alright. Yeah, the 5 turns. Wow. Just kill them. I don't even need to check. Just damage. Go. And I think that's all of them. That was easy. What? You gave me 15 turns. I was a little worried. But you could have given me the usual 10. I would have been fine. That was 15, right? Yeah, why did they give me 15 turns? That's absurd. Alright, I guess I can hardly complain. Looks like we're going into another battle, which it might be preceded by dialogue. We'll see. It could also just be we're continuing as usual. We'll see. Time will tell. Right back into battle, huh? Alright, fine. I'm done. Let's do some combat. How many are we looking at? 20 again. It's not much the same as last time. Maybe a little harder. But honestly, I'm not worried. I think we'll be fine. Things are looking good for us at this point. That's the main thing. Alright. I don't think anything really special needs to happen this turn. Just for more winning clashes, I guess. I don't... I'll admit, the combat so far, a little mindless. Makes me curious how things are going to go later on when we start getting into the most likely harder battles, because I don't think it'll stay this easy forever. I didn't mean to even do that. Let's go like so. I'd also need to check on some of the requirements for the Eagle because I do want to try them today. It'd be sad if I just didn't get to use them. But overall, I think we're doing well so far. Alrighty. Things look pretty good so far, I will say. Yeah, and so far nothing's really jumping out to me as this is going wrong. Everything's been going right, if anything. I mean, who am I to complain, honestly, but still, it feels absurd. I'm not used to this going quite this smoothly. I guess I do want to make the event more accessible to people, maybe. I can see that, at least. I don't know. It's hard to say. Okay, I think that's the last of them, so just damage at this point. Do as much as you can. I don't... Limbus. Limbus, Limbus, Limbus. Make it too easy on me sometime, man. Honestly, I'm not gonna complain over simplicity. I'll take it. A little more. Got a little lucky on that skill. Alrighty. Almost there. Can they finish them off? That's the question. Because that'd be ideal. It might be just short. Darn, alright, let's get that 9 HP that hardly matters. Oh, we got unbreakables. Not that it mattered, but... I don't think I've ever had it actually say the mission accomplished before. Alright, fair enough. The remaining entities have returned to the sea. Is everyone okay? It was just like our last skirmish. Sea terrors that had surrounded the ship returned to the sea even before the battle came to an end. And their retreat felt too orderly and deliberate to just be running away. It's almost like they're making a tactical retreat. We're doing peachy, but what about the ship? Foul? Is the ship okay? Minor damages to the hull, but nothing that will impede the ship's operational capabilities. Phew. So I noticed during the battle, I might be wrong of course, but I think I noticed how around the end of the battle, those monsters were starting to go after the manager? You're probably right actually. I noticed too. At some point during our battle, those monsters realized that it's the manager who's commanding the rest of us. I sensed the very same. Their movements were fluid and adaptive, as though they were learning our behavior. Why does the Church of the Deep worship monsters like them? That ain't much of a question, ain't it? They must have gone mental. I'm sure they have many reasons, but... Seaborns are beings of infinite potential. So much that they are no superlative big enough to properly convey the scale. As organisms, they can endlessly evolve and adapt. Every time they encounter a new environment or a new element, they transform themselves and other seaborns. Maybe that's their draw. That fascination may be an attitude most befitting of a researcher, yet the transformation of fascination to idolatry is, if I may be frank, not entirely positive. I find them pretty uncomfortable. They just remind me of whales. Then can they adapt to learn a language to communicate with us? What? Going by everything we heard, I think they sound really smart. Leora's eyes went round at Honglu's suggestion. She brought her hands to her mouth, surprised. It sure was something. I heard that there was a Seaborn who could talk. If non-humans speak the language of humans, regardless of its testament to their intelligence, I can only think of two possibilities as to why they would. One, to communicate with humans. The other, to deceive humans. More often than not, it's the latter. What about distortions? Some of them already knew how to speak. Distortions are phenomena in which humans transform into monstrous forms, first observed after the White Knights and Dark Days incident. Therefore, that example is irrelevant to Otis's supposition. White Knights and Dark Days. She whispered quietly, as though she were standing rather close to her. We all caught on to the hint of joy in her voice. The pillar of light in the city, did it really... How have you come across this knowledge, Miss Mayors? Oh, that's... Ain't it obvious? We've got the culprit right here. The storyteller lass has been grabbing on about no end. Yeah, she's been talking non-stop all morning about all kinds of stories, hasn't she? Oh, yet I have not given that fat... You again. You didn't get so lost in your own stories that you blabbed all about our company's secrets, have you? Nay, fie, I would simply not. As Don Quixote was subject to another round of scolding, Amiya stared out toward the sea, wary that the sea terrors might start crawling to the surface once again, before turning toward us. I wonder which of the two Seaborns are... Their sense of self is really, really faint, so I don't think they're in either category. I think it's possible that they learned human language out of instinct, that the power of speech might help them survive. It appears that you, Miss Mayors, are quite the expert on the subject of Seaborns. Your knowledge of them goes beyond what fear for one's survival might yield, thereby suggesting a different means of acquisition. Do you by chance worship the Seaborns? Darn, right to accusation. I don't worship Seaborns. Seaborns don't have any hopes or wishes, just desire for survival. Miss Mayors, does that mean if Seaborns were able to hope? Maybe so. Is that so? The repairs are complete. As we were conversing, Faust descended from the ship with a neatly organized set of tools borrowed from the village. Repairs completed. I'm guessing repairs are done? Done? Yes, the ship is ready to set sail. Did you have a departure time and date in mind? I would prefer if we could depart as soon as possible. We don't have a set time or anything, but I think we should be able to set sail this late afternoon at the earliest. That soon? As you've seen, we don't have a lot to bring with us. By the way, how far out to sea do you guys need to go? We need to find this dimensional door of sorts. I could see the dimensional door's light from the beach at night. It was faint, but given how the light's strong enough to break through the sea fog, we should be able to determine its location somewhere around the coastal waters. So we can go back tonight? The first order of business is to relay this news to the villagers. Yeah, back to the village for now. Alrighty then. I suspect the next stage is going to be a story one. But nice. Things are looking good. Let's see. Event currency wise, we're currently at 378, so I don't think we'll be affording the... This will be my priority of things to buy, this ego. Title elegy. The only problem with this, let me move myself so you can see the illustration better. Unfortunately, it costs 1,000, which I don't think we're gonna afford anytime soon. That said, I could go for more draws, but I feel like the guarantee is better. It's a little hard to say, honestly. Let's just keep going for now. I don't want to waste time because I want to get as far into this as I can, at least halfway. I don't know if we're necessarily going to be able to get to the end because despite the appearance that we're approaching the end, this progress meter says otherwise. I don't quite buy it. So with that in mind, let's see. Oh, I just read the name. Well, that's bad. I get the feeling that's bad anyway. The Inquisitor. There's something going on in the village? Yeah, I hear it too. I'm hearing people shouting and hollering. When we returned to the village, ship repairs completed, we were welcomed by a rather hostile standoff. A quick count told me there were approximately 20 people assembled at the village square. Considering its population, that was pretty much the whole village. Who's that over there? Inquisitor. I think we've been found. The Inquisitor, dressed in a well-kept uniform, was about the same height as Don Quixote. The sword and lamp hanging from her waist sits in stark contrast to the more run-down, ramshackle village. She almost looked like a fixer from the city. So, the Inquisition has discovered our village. Did you really think that you could forever stay out of the Inquisition's gaze, citizen? That's a naive dream. Fabius disappeared from the Inquisition mid-interrogation under charges of suspicion of membership within the Church of the Deep. Last known location, Salt Flat. The other Inquisitors have informed me that you've been identified next to the pirates in its finges. From a criminal to an outlaw, what a dramatic evolution of your career. But it ends here. Now. Every citizen here, including you, will be accompanying me to the Inquisition. They have never broken a single law, nor are the outlaws of any kind. They are not like me. They've disregarded the Inquisition's authority, invaded the gaze of Iberia, and found this sodden coast to lurk in. Tell me I'm not supposed to find that suspicious. What are you talking about? You can't just start arresting people left and right with a tenuous suspicion like that. You shouldn't. We've only wished to lead a quiet life, ma'am. Is that so? Then you might find yourself returning to this village one day, as long as you're telling the truth. Which is not an option for you, Fabius. Mayors, was the chief really a pirate? Well, yeah, but as far as I know, he's been out of the game for a while. And even when he ran with the pirates, all he ever did was share fin beast jerky to villages. Or carry Agarians between them. Even if you're telling the truth, Mayors, I doubt the Inquisition will be lenient. Well, what now? I have but one question to ask. That Inquisitor, is she following the proper legal procedures? I don't know much about the laws of Iberia, but the doctor told us the words of Inquisitors were pretty much the law here. It is likely that she is following the proper legal procedures. The procedures are precisely what the villagers have fled from, after all. Then it is decided. Otis quietly dragged me to the side and whispered outside Mayor's earshot. The sinners who were right next to me seemed to have picked it up, though. Executive Manager, we best immediately return to the ship, take command of it, and sail out on our own. It is unwise to involve ourselves in this conflict. What, are you seriously suggesting we just let them arrest the villagers? Didn't you hear what the Inquisitor said? It seems quite cut and dry to me. If this is the standard procedure with no local laws broken, we are in no place to involve ourselves. Our best hope is to take the ship before they impound that too. But we can't do that. Even if it is standard procedure, even if they're working within the law. It's not... You stayed up to hear Mayor's story too, didn't you? You know, the N-Corp Inquisitors were working within the law too, when they came for the village. That was the standard procedure too. If someone, anyone, had stepped in then. I know what you went through, but I'd still rather not take a risk in an unfamiliar environment like this. I will try my best to figure out how to sail the ship. If I cannot, then I have faith in Ishmael to quickly learn its controls. I can't say you're wrong, but I don't know. Neither you nor I know anything about the ocean currents here, Otis. We can get the ship going, but I can't guarantee we'll reach the dimensional door without any trouble. Do you know anything about the sea currents in this region? Not much, but I know the coastal sea somewhat. And you can't fight the Inquisitors directly here in Iberia. Fleeing with the ship might be the better option. What should we do, Dante? Yeah, I guess it's kind of awkward for us to just take the ship and go, huh? How about we try to talk to the Inquisitor then? I think we should at least try to hear them out first. Them being the Inquisitor and the Chief of both. Or rather, and the Chief both. If the discussion goes well, we might be able to get the Inquisition's support. Like Mr. Honglu said, we should hear them out first, then try to convince them. I agreed with them both. First, let's at least see what the Inquisitor has to say. RR. Rabbit's right, she says? Are you certain that translation was accurate, Sinclair? Right? There's no way Ryoshu chose anything other than violence, right? Idiots. It's because there's no other options. Or rather, because the other options are pointless. Inquisitor's seen us. We're already under suspicion. She will doubtless try to stop us if we flee now. So talk first, lower our guard, then attack. Pretty sure that's not what Amiya meant. Well, if she's already onto us, then we shouldn't give her any excuse to attack us by running away. I was wondering what you were doing there, lurking in the background. A clock-shaped head. Are you from the Columbian Union? They're wearing a clock for a head due to reasons, but they have nothing to do with the Columbian Union. What's the Columbian Union? What? Which language are they speaking? Regardless of whether you're from Colombia or not, you're clearly not from Iberia, let alone this village. You're not wrong, but I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding. I'm quite certain you don't know enough about these villagers to stand between them and an Inquisitor. How long have you been staying here? 2 days? Buddy, don't just tell her that! 2 days. Alright, enough of this chicanery. Get out of my way, outsider. The attempt appears to have been made on quite the unstable ground. Please lend us your ear for a minute, Inquisitor. I am Amiya, leader of Rhode Island. Yes, I am aware of Iberia's closed border situation. I felt hope swelling in me as Amiya began with confidence, unlike Sinclair. Alas, it was short-lived. Thanks to the Inquisitor's quick retort, I couldn't help but place my palm against my forehead at the exchange that followed. Oh, so not only are we dealing with outsiders of dubious origin, but we have a legal entry as well. We had to, because the issue demands urgency and... I've been briefed. Brazenly crossed the border, didn't you? I don't know how urgent the issue could be, but I doubt it's anything more significant than the situation at hand for Iberia and its Inquisition. The High Inquisitor is handling the Rhodes Island issue. Stay put and await the consequences, while he and that chatty med doctor of yours talk it out. Do know that your treatment may depend on her negotiation skills. As for the village chief, I understand that you have the right to arrest him, as he is a fugitive who has fled the middle of an interrogation and has been sailing with pirates. However, it is an inhumane treatment to arrest the rest of the villagers as well. Inhumane? This decision is well within the rights bestowed upon the Inquisition. They've lived for years right next to that highly suspicious Aegir. The Inquisition must investigate the rest of them as well to verify whether they've committed any acts of treason against our laws. This isn't going anywhere, is it? Listen, they've been surviving for years upon years by the coast without the protection of the Inquisition, and that simply cannot make sense. Oi, I think I've heard enough from you. Ain't it funny how you're blaming them for what's essentially a failure of your responsibilities? And now you roll up here, only to go, they shouldn't be alive. I'm arresting them all. What, are you saying these people should all be dead or something? I am. There is no other way to cut it. People simply shouldn't be able to survive in a place like this. Not for this long. The Inquisitor's reply only seemed to fan Heathcliff's wrath, as he lifted his bat and began striding forward. That's it. Lass, if you ever so much as touch the tip of a single villager's hair. Please calm yourself, Heathcliff. But Hong Lu stepped in between them. Get your bloody hands off me. I've had enough of her. Continuing to threaten her will cause something irrevocably bad to happen. I believe you know that yourself, Heathcliff. What do you suggest then? We're clearly not making any progress by trying to talk this out. Excuse me, Miss Inquisitor. What do you mean that the people shouldn't be able to survive in a place like this? I mean it literally. Even by some miracle that they actually do survive, they should at least be suffering from endless hunger, struggling to their wits' end at the inevitability of the calamity. But they look too healthy. The heck? Shouldn't you be applauding them for managing to survive through so much hardship? I am an Inquisitor. I'm not some crazy person on a power high who goes around accosting and arresting civilians of Iberia straight to the gallows. Okay? I have more than enough probable cause to take them in for interrogation. It's just that I don't have the time or energy to explain every single one of them to you outsiders. I promise them a fair judgment, whichever that may be, after proper investigation. So stop with this obstruction of justice. The Inquisitor brandished her rapier threateningly, her voice shaking with frustration. Dante. Without the full picture of the circumstances, Faust advises against further antagonization of the local political authority. I agree with Faust. I get the feeling that she isn't the kind of heartless Inquisitor that goes around indiscriminately executing innocents, like Miss Mayors told us about earlier. I don't think she's anything like the Inquisitors of N-Corp we saw back at the Claw, or Cull, rather. They were right. We didn't have the full picture of the circumstances. Getting in the way of an Inquisitor, who was clearly a rather significant political entity in the area, was most likely a bad idea. It isn't the Inquisitor's job to answer your questions. Continue to obstruct me, then. As the standoff was showing no signs of ending. Miss Mayors? I can answer your questions, so for now, let's do as the Inquisitor says. Mayors, who'd been hiding behind us ever since we returned to the village, suddenly stepped forward. Yet, what of thy grandfather? And the villagers? It's alright. I'm sure this is happening only because the Inquisitor doesn't know. What do you mean you'll answer the questions? About the profound silence. Mayor's response to Otis was but a single concept. I didn't quite grasp its significance, but it seemed to surprise the Inquisitor. That's what they call the calamity that destroyed Iberia. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. Right then, I guess spinning clock. Looks like we got a level this time. Clear stage! No, no! Oh, that's worrying. I guess I'm gonna go with the same team, but... oh... that could be bad. We'll see. We'll see. You... Decades ago, a great wave ravaged through Iberia. It wasn't long before the Seaborns carried by the waves diminished Iberia's brilliant civilization to this. The waves. The profound silence then must have reduced the village to its current state as well. Is there any reason it's called the Profound Silence? It doesn't seem like the most appropriate moniker for a calamity like that. It's because the sea went dead silent before the waves came. The silence then claimed ships out at sea, then the cities of Iberia, then the Iberians. No one could say a word in the face of the ineffable calamity. What are you? No average Iberian citizen should be privy to any of the information you're sharing. And the Church of the Deep is really capitalizing on the pandemonium that followed the profound silence. They pretend to be Aegir from the sea, delude the citizenry of Iberia, and are sowing chaos in our lands. So that's why they're arresting the Aegir left and right. I can see the thought process, but... So it's understandable why the Inquisitor would want to arrest us. Dante? This isn't good. Sharing that seems to have been a kind of taboo-like thing for the Inquisition. The Inquisitor wordlessly stared at Mayors. Her eyes were filled with the traces of anger and confusion, but... she's afraid. There was a fear in the face of a threat. Not the fear of the terrified, no. It's the fear of someone who's suddenly confronted with something they must destroy. The High Inquisitor once told me that, should I come across an Aegir who knows too much, there is a sliver chance... Rather, there is a sliver of a chance that they may be may be of assistance to Iberia. Cease, thou art threatening the innocent with thy brandishing of their firearm! But most are seduced by the allure of the sea. Thus, they are, with little doubt, our foes. I've got a bad feeling about this. Get out of my way, outsider. Final warning. Run! Quick on the uptake as always, Ruddy slung Mayors over his shoulder and ran past the villagers. While the sinners scattered in all directions to distract the Inquisitor draws her firearm. And in the midst of all that action, Don Quixote rushed toward the Inquisitor without a moment's hesitation. Don Quixote? Thou shalt go no further! I, a fixer of justice, shalt abide by as thou prosecute them. Forsooth, 'tis a battle delayed, not avoided. This clash is inevitable. In that moment of crisis, seconds before this could irrevocably make us a new enemy. Monthreater? Oh. Hi. A large obsidian crystallization in the shape of a monster burst forth between the two of them. Gah! Who is it this time? That's enough meaningless bickering. Doctor! Do you know her? Yeah, she's the doctor. Rhode Island's medical department's... doctor, right behind you! Shoot first, talk later, is it? The negotiations are over. From this moment onward, Rhodes Island is now operating within legal capacity under Iberian territory under the Inquisition's authorization. The Inquisitor fired a blast of the firearm-looking weapon, but the monster summoned by the doctor managed to deflect it. And the cannonball thrown from the weapon punched clean through the wall of the building we stayed the night in, before punching through several other buildings behind it. That was enough to instantly freeze the sinners and the villagers on the spot. That penetrated a building. Though their walls may be weaker than the head standard for what counts as building exterior wall, to punch through that many is... what a precise point it makes. Now's not the time to stand around impressed! It is a violation of a taboo to have that much penetrative power in a firearm. We're not in the city. Don't lose your heads over this. Taboos don't apply here. My head knows that to be true, yet my heart finds it difficult to be still. That is enough of the discussion for now. It is advisable that we carefully observe and grasp the situation at hand instead of deliberating on a taboo the jurisdiction of which does not reach this far. Yeah, so the situation's gotten slightly better, right? If she's Amaya's friend, she's our ally. Besides, she's got some super powerful looking prosthetic. Prosthetic gear looking thing too. Is that what you think? I apologize for the disappointment, but I am not on anyone's side. In other words, your particular denomination ally might not be entirely correct. However, if I must define my allegiance, then let me inform you of the closest label that I am Inquisitor Irene's ally. Doctor Amaya, outsiders. As much as you would like to deny it, the Inquisitor's suspicions are true. While it can be said that the process by which she reached that conclusion was unfair, the conclusion itself is, without a doubt, correct. So they're actually connected to the Church of the Deep? That is one way to put it. To be more precise, they aren't connected to the Church of the Deep. They are the Church of the Deep. Perhaps the village itself is dilapidated church of their congregation. Our village a church? Just look at our buildings. Where would we even congregate? Your thoughts, Faust? There are not many resources by which we may analyze the decision. However, the fact that Amaya's colleague has made the same argument as the Inquisitor brings the accused defense to question. Yet, I can hardly believe that young Mayors is lying to us. Hold on. You've been chatting plenty with that Inquisitioner, Weber. How do we know you weren't aligned with them the whole time? I see. You really are all entirely in the dark. An expected outcome, given that all of you may be from a place far beyond the dimensional door. As fortune should have it, there's no need for you to know it anyway. Truth is truth unchanging, without the acceptance from an errant group of outsiders. Besides, soon. I'm sorry. It seems that we've mired you into this trouble. Say no such thing. We shall not abide by one such injustice is perpetuated before our eyes. The village has already been identified by the Inquisition, and the Inquisition has even brought an ally. It seems quite unlikely that words shall resolve this conflict. But we promise you, we will take responsibility for what is done. We have benefited far too much from your warmth and kindness not to do so. The village chief, with a benevolent look, pulls a dagger from his cloth. And I immediately knew what the doctor was about to say. Take responsibility? You don't have to go Blimey! We are now departing for the sea. Yet, as we cannot bring ourselves to leave you here, I must ask that you join us for this journey. Become our bloodkin. What are you doing? Stop! The unanticipated, or perhaps I was simply in denial of this rising dread. Ambush did not end there. Ugh. Damn it, the Inquisitor was right? The villagers suddenly began shanking the sinners with weapons they had concealed in their clothes, and it seemed that they were coming for me as well. Amiya, on your left! Amiya materialized a black ribbon-like apparition, prying away the dagger flying in my direction. But another villager rushed in, taking advantage of the opening. Go! The charging villager's back made a visceral, crunchy noise. Someone flung them away. Didn't mean to be this late. Skitty, let me catch you up to speed. I know the situation. This fishy smell was what I went to investigate earlier. What about the sinners? Unlike Amaya and I, who managed to survive the initial ambush, the sinners weren't doing so well. At least we had a silver lining that the Inquisitor and the Doctor's quick understanding of the situation and of subsequent retaliation led the villagers away from the sinners. How? I didn't notice any hostility or aggression. What an odd thing to say. Why would we hold any animosity against you? Why would we intend to kill you? We are not trying to hurt you. We are simply trying to give you a form of better suited for the sea. Until we're obstructed. I'll apologize for our unfamiliarity has caused you trouble, Inquisitor. I won't make a big stink about what happened. What's truly unforgivable is that the heretics tried to take advantage of the ignorance of outsiders to flee the Inquisition. And even if you are outsiders, any lives lost on Iberian soil are my responsibility. It's my fault. I'm sorry it came to this. Wait, lives lost? We're still alive, you know. We can shake off a stab wound like... This is most unfortunate, outsider. Huh? What? Your friends are either going to die or turn into Seaborns. The daggers that stabbed them were laced with the flesh of sea terrors. Once that happens, most die, and the survivors become overwritten by their cells, becoming nothing more than a sea monster. What? That's not a very big deal? Everyone is acting like this was it for the sinners, but hey, I should be able to deal with this by turning the clock. It's not that bad. My only concern was that I didn't know what would happen if I tried to bring them back after they're fully transformed into Seaborns. The Golden Bow helped deal with the whale's politification effects, but I had no idea how it would interact with Seaborn transformations. We should just kill them before they turn. I know this must be very hard for you, but what? Sorry to bother you with this, but can you kill my friends, and preferably in the least painful way you know? Oh, sorry, was the last part kinda too much to ask? Wait, don't give up already! If we can bring them back to Rhodes Island, we should be able to do something to help them. How should I explain this? Guys, can you... Dante, I know what you mean, but I just can't right now. My strength has rapidly deteriorated since that ambush. It's kind of tingly too, so maybe they used some kind of paralytic cocktail? Just trust me this one time. I can assure you that I'm not just giving up on them. Maya, can you understand the outsider's speech? Yes, it's just that they're making a pretty difficult request. They want me to kill all of their friends before they transform into Seaborns. Okay. Damn, alright. Of the bluntness of that. Okay, done. And before we even knew it, Skuddy had already decapitated the sinners, none of whom resisted. Amaya seemed to have been taken aback by how fast Skuddy jumped into action. What are you doing? Skuddy? Don't let this spook you. It's just how we roll. The clock turns. Decapitated heads creep off the headless torsos, connecting with the threads of blood. The sensation is that of reversal. It feels as though the sinners and I are severed from the rest of the world, rewinding in isolation. It's this rewinding us going back in time, or we define the concept itself. This pain is multifold worse than the sensations of a straightforward decapitation. The pain is in the heart. As the current of death reverses, I sense a deep, crushing isolation. Their wounds are disappearing? Resurrection, Mephistopheles, or time reversal? Puzzling. I have no knowledge with which to interpret this technology. The cost seems to be that the pain is transferred to the one who rewinds. But that seems too small a price for such great power, though the discussion of whether this can be categorized as power should be explored later. I couldn't stop shaking. All of my limbs were trembling from the icy solitude. Still, I took a moment to collect myself and ordered the sinners. I don't know what they're thinking, but we should be able to find out once we take them down. You dare deceive the executive manager and try to take their life? Prepare thyself, for thou shalt now pay the price for making a mockery of justice. Yeah, we can't just let this slide, you know? How unfortunate. I had high hopes that all of you would become fine bloodkins. Dang. Alrighty then. Let's see how this goes. Oh, they gained sanity. Great. Oh, so already we're at a disadvantage. That's fantastic. Heal 3 SP for every surviving ally. Gotcha. This unit did not take damage this turn. Gain 2 haste next turn. This unit speed is the attack turn. Alright. On hit with an unopposed attack, inflict 1 nervous impairment. Ooh. At 30 stack becomes staggered, then take fixed damage equal to 25% of HP and remove this effect. Gotcha. I think I get the idea at least. We got our boss man in the back. It looks like it's just this wave, so this is everything. And it's an Abno style battle, which means I can just go. So let's do this. It looks like he's just defending. What are you doing? If this unit has any remaining shield, gain 2 attack power up next turn. Okay, so I do want to deal with that. That would be bad. I'd rather not let that go off. Do you have any special passives? Conditions on met, so I can't see yet. Gain 5 Sea Terror assimilation. If an allied center has 5 stacks with this effect, it escapes the battlefield. When allied center has a defense skill equipped while it has this effect, they escape battlefield at combat start. Instead of offense level down and defense level down effects for Sea Terror conventions, you gain a... okay. So you just have a buff off the bat. This unit has any remaining shield after getting hit, inflict 2 sinking against the target. This unit's panic type does not change when inflicted with an effect that changes panic types. Instead, this unit is inflicted with effects that is inflicted against targets without SP. Panic set SP to 0. This unit's skills deal 1% damage for every 1 nervous impairment on target. On hit, yep, okay. So we don't want unopposed attacks to happen, which is worth noting. We also need to make sure that you don't have any shield left, I feel like. Okay. Let's assume that the shield should be prioritized. Really, I want stuff that does a lot of damage then. Let's do like so, and then everyone else will attack the various citizens. Gotta make sure I keep track of speeds. That's the other aspect. It's always something to consider though, it's not new. Either way it's gonna happen, so... let's go like that. And this will be our turn. It doesn't look like these defense moves are too strong, so I think that should be enough, but we're testing currently. Get a feel for it. Surprisingly a lot, actually. Okay, wow, that did not remove enough of it at all. So he's gonna have attack power up next time. That, or not even, I think it was final power up, actually. Either 2 or 4, I can't tell. Does that effect apply twice because he used it twice, or does it only do it once? Ah, I was hoping that would work, it didn't. We really need sanity for this. Unfortunately, we had the unopposed attack happen. Not a lot I can do about that. Okay, so I'm getting a better idea on how this fight goes. It's just tricky. You have maximum sanity, which is not helping. I'm hoping we can get some good attacks in. Another one of these. Okay, it's just 2. That's good. I'm a little worried to be more than that. I don't know how worth it is to deal with it all. That first turn, at the least. There's a lot of favorites in there, so I have hope. The more we win clashes, the better off we're gonna be. The more we get rid of allies too, because then that SP effect gets weaker. Staggered one. Nice. Good so far, I would say. It's not getting to a point where I'm particularly thinking we're going to die. So, hope is not lost by any means, despite the roughness of that first turn. Okay. Unfortunate, but that was going to happen. We got 2 staggered, so we might be able to kill them this turn if I play my cards right. Let's see what I can do. Those are not good odds. You could do that one. Jeez, even the people with higher sanities are struggling with these. To be fair, they aren't the best odds ever, but I thought at least you could do something. The best I'm seeing really is neutral on some of these, which isn't great. Neutral clash. Fortunately not fast enough. Let's deal with you. You have more HP. It does unfortunately seem like we're going to be dealing with a hopeless clash in there, which isn't great. I can at least power guard it. Maybe that'll do something. No. At least he guarded some of it, but yeah, it's not great. Plus it made it not unopposed. That's the other thing. Another one staggered. That's one down. Not good. Not unopposed at least, but still not great. No heads, are you kidding me? That's not good. One staggered. People, please. Can I get one win, please? Thank you. I was about to say, these odds are not going well. The SP healing effects should start going down now. Not enough to particularly matter. Okay, yeah, we really need to get that one. That one cannot be allowed to stand. Let's do like so. It doesn't look like that's gonna work by any means. One's at least favored. Don's doing great on sanity, so he can actually do a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to kill any of the ones that are staggered, but it's worth a try. Of course. I am getting bad rolls for what is supposed to be favored. I do ponder if having fewer people present would be better, because then you get the advantage of sanity gain going up. But this isn't going well, just in general. At least we defeated that. That's good. That I will take. Shoot you and prevent that going off. Okay, we are all back again. Special move, it looks like. Rite of Liberation. Coin flyer plus 1 for every sinking on the target. Target has bind, flyer plus 2. Okay. So no sinking or bind, ideally. And Clash Win inflicts sinking. You have unbreakable coins. I can at least weaken those, usually. Okay. Let's do that, because that should win. That's simply neutral, because your sanity is 0, so maybe not. No, Don, you got that! Then everyone else focus on the task at hand. That's a 6. Where are you targeting? Ishmael. It has to be Ishmael, because otherwise it's not going to work. And ideally we could also take that one out. I'm going to go for that. Oh, I'm missing one still. Seriously? Just everyone? Ay, ay, ay. Whatever, this should be an easy win. Looks like we easily depleted that meter. Nice. Yeah, that was inevitable. Okay, it looks like we might win that clash. Nice. A little scary when Dawn starts losing. But we're fine. Not a fan of how that went. They are doing a number on Ishmael. Seriously, it is a little absurd. Got one. Ishmael. Yeah, got 3 allies left, and we still got the main guy. Okay. Still want to make sure these ones are one in particular. Oh, never mind, that one's actually kind of scary to let go off. Hopefully that'll just be... Actually, let's do like that. These are just normal moves. Apparently that's not going to work. Where are you targeting? You're targeting this one. Of course I don't have enough speed at that point. Someone else has to deal with it. Which is annoying, because that means I have other stuff for you, and that's not ideal either. There isn't a lot I can do for it, though. More important, we get rid of them. Oh, come on, don't lose. Please. Thank you. You're not gonna die this turn because you did that to me, but whatever. It's supposed to be a dominating. It often scares me. Just some of the shield. That is low, but not dead. No matter how I looked at that, we weren't depleting that shield. Okay. So we got one left, and we got the main dude. So we're coming up on the end now. We're getting there. Doesn't look like... Oh, because your speed's 1. Got a lot of bind. That's fine. I can do that. Hopeless. Hopeless. Oh, what are these odds? Okay. That's what ego's for, you know? We don't have any green. I should throw green in if I want to use this. Ever. How much ego am I going to have to use? Because, like, I don't want to lose these clashes. Come on. Okay, we're fine. We're good. We can do this. That's for sure. Ego. For when the situation calls for it, basically. There's not really a lot to it. Okay. I think we have this. Or I'm insane. The ego's doing pretty good, I'd say. Get him. Damage, honestly. And hopefully they should be able to kill this last one so that we don't have to deal with any more of these guys, just the main dude. And then we got this clash. Nice. If we could stagger him, that'd be massive. Maybe. I think I heard the sound effect. Wow, you are a little screwed, my guy. Have fun. Don't lose. Hooray. Little tense, though. I will admit, that was closer than I would have liked. I think we win this. Pretty close, admittedly. There we go.
Mission accomplished.
Indeed. All right, that was a lot. Wait, I think they're heading to... He's running himself into a dead end. Are they seeking refuge at sea? Wait, that's where the ship is. That's where they're headed. They're trying to board the vessel Massas. Wait, but we never told them that the ship was repaired, so how... Ain't it obvious? The whole village is in on it. Ain't it a surprise that they'd send somebody to spy on us? Or they'd know that the ship is floating even in its broken state. Vessel Massas. Vessel Rebellion de la Massas. That ship is moored at the port of the direction. Wait, it can't be! Irene, who was preoccupied with battling the rest of the followers of the Church of the Deep, who were in hiding, quickly gave chase. But Fabius and the villagers were already aboard the repaired ship, slowly departing the harbor with a horde of sea terrors between us and them. How can a vessel of that size become operational this fast? The exterior, the name. It must have been constructed during the golden age of Iberia. But how are we supposed to chase that? What if we built a raft and rode after Hoglu? I don't... No offense, I think they could go faster than us. Mate, come on. Sea's full of sea terrors. It won't get very far before it sinks. Do you see something, Amiya? You keep looking in that direction. Oh. The vessel Massas soon disappeared into the mist and... The village was left empty with nary a sign of people ever having been there. As though this getaway had all been predetermined. Or premeditated, rather. Leaving only Mayors. Dang. We got betrayed. There's not really any cut in that. We got betrayed. Right, that is 7 done out of 15. Or 14, rather. I would love to keep going, honestly. But I realistically can't. I have to do stuff tomorrow, and it is 2:30 in the morning for me. We're gonna have to cut this one short. I'm not gonna come back to this tomorrow, but I will come back the day afterward. That is my plan. We are going to finish this. I do not stand for betrayal. Anyway. That is going to conclude things for today. So with that in mind, thank you all for tuning in. It's always much appreciated. I hope you have a grand rest of your day, night, whatever it happens to be for you. But with all that being said, I'm out. I'll see you all tomorrow if you happen to be interested in Mario Galaxy. Otherwise, hopefully the day after to continue and finish this event. See you all next time.